Three, two, one. We are live, rolling into another episode of the Triple Side Podcast with me, Darrell Roberts, and my co-host,
Jesse Hernandez. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for coming out again. Appreciate you guys liking and subscribing if you guys haven't already. I'm looking at two different cameras here, by the way. I'm looking at the Zoom one, and I'm looking at the one we're recording here. So,
I guess whoever starts off the podcast is the one who's hosting, and the other person's the co-host. Because our first episode, it was you.
Yeah. So
doesn't matter. It's our podcast together. So.
Yup. Perfect. So I don't know. Go ahead and start. Yeah, I'll let you run it.
All right. So today we're actually going to be going over The Peanut Butter Falcon is the movie that we're going to be talking about today.
Call it an adventure film. I mean, I definitely see more of an adventure / I guess story than anything else. I mean, that's exactly. I feel like that's what it is, right?
Are we going to do spoilers or spoiler free today?
I feel like it's a movie that came out in 2019, so I feel like if you haven't seen it already, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, this is a movie that we know a lot of people haven't seen, so maybe we should stick with a spoiler free review this time.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I'm down with that.
And it's a smaller movie. I don't know why the word's escaping me. Independent film. It's more of an independent film. That's the word I was looking for. It's a really good overall heartwarming story and film. And let's see. I have to think of the mindset of spoiler free and be very mindful of that. But basically, to kind of summarize a little bit of the storyline, there's an adult kid. I'd say maybe he's like, what do you think, like 18, 20?
I don't remember if they say in the movie.
I don't think they say in the movie, but you could kind of guess he's closer to an adult that has Down syndrome. And there was no one to take care of him, so he ended up in a old folks home.
Yeah.
And that's who was taking care of him. And obviously he hates it there. And that's kind of where the adventure starts, is seeing him in this old folks home. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Shia LaBeouf's character is a kind of a washed up fisherman, crab catcher. And he doesn't have really anything going for him. So he's in a really rough kind of area, and rough in terms of what's going on in his life. And they ended up crossing paths somehow. So that's where the adventure really starts, when they cross paths. And there's a lot of cool things that kind of go into that, because one guy's Lone Ranger, do-it-yourself. That's Shia LaBeouf's character. You could tell he doesn't have anyone in his circle. It's just him. And then having them cross paths and having them kind of have to go on this journey, they kind of get forced into going on a journey together. And seeing both the characters kind of make sacrifices to kind of coexist together and to move forward in the story was really cool and very interesting. Anything without spoiling anything that you want to get into?
No, I mean, I definitely think like you hit the nail right there. Just by saying like you have two different people. One, again, coming from a background where he wants more in life, and he's stuck in a retirement home in a situation where, I mean, he's questioned it. He brings it up a couple times. I believe Dakota Johnson's character, Eleanor, and he's like, "Why am I here? I'm not an old man. I'm capable. Why am I here?" Right, and then that's coming from Zach the character and that's actually his real name in real life.
Yeah, I saw that.
So one thing that I'm like, man, like you got someone that wants more in life, and then you got in the opposite spectrum, right? Shia LaBeouf's character Tyler, who's like, washed up, but at the same time stuck in a situation more of mourning. I mean, we find out, without spoiling anything, we find out that there's something that happened in his family, and pretty much now he's like, well, I don't know what to do with my life, right? And this is kind of what I'm good at, and he does things that he shouldn't have, and ends up in a situation where obviously he needs to be able to get out of his situation and move to a different one, right? And that's where they start crossing paths, where Shia LaBeouf's character Tyler is about to move on to his next journey, and Zach's character, where he ends up leaving the retirement home, right? But yeah, I mean that's my like 2 cents on that. What did you think of, I guess, the one thing that's interested me the most about this movie was both Shia LaBeouf's character and Zach's character just meshing together so good that I think I mentioned this to you before, where I was like, I don't think that movie would have worked without Zach, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, for me, like that was like the one thing that I think really made the movie, because I believed Zach's character so much that I was like, man, like this guy doesn't. I saw a couple interviews with him, and Shia even said, like, this guy does not lie. He could not lie. He doesn't have a bad bone in him, and you can tell that it comes out in his character, where you're like, man, like this guy really wants more in life, and he's willing to take the risk. He's willing to take the journey that he needs to take. And I think that's what pretty much makes a really good adventure movie, a really good story. I'm more of a character movie. That's probably the words. Yeah, a good character movie and a good adventure movie. That's how I would describe this movie. So,
without spoiling anything, that I want to talk about is, was it Eleanor? Dakota Fanning's character? I think that's Dakota Fanning, right? Dakota Johnson. That's right. Dakota Johnson. Not Dakota Fanning. Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Fanning, I think, is from War of the Worlds, right?
I think that's that's a different character. Different actress. So Eleanor, so she's the main person at the old folks home that's really taking care of what's his name? Zach. Mm-hmm. That's taking care of Zach at the old folks home. And she's kind of in charge of that side of the old folks home and that unit, I guess you could say. And when Zach escapes the old folks home, that's her responsibility. So she gets handed to her by her boss, and she's on her own journey to find Zach. And so she's on her own little journey to find Zach, while Zach and Shia LaBeouf's character are off on their own little journey when they cross paths and are forced to kind of be on the run, so to speak, in a journey together. And what's cool about their journey is there's multiple situations that are very unpredictable and have very unpredictable outcomes, and it's just a fun, fast pace, and their characters really start to mesh together as the movie goes on, and they have these different adventures, mini adventures, I guess you could call them. Yeah. And that was a really another really cool thing, because as each obstacle came, they kind of got closer together. They learned something about each other. They learned how they could coexist together, and they really start to build a strong bond between, like a brotherhood.
Yeah, definitely agreed. And I mean, I wouldn't give Eleanor Dakota Johnson's character like any less praise of she doesn't like she does play a main role in the second half of the movie, right? I guess you can say.
Well, the very first half, and then the second half.
Well, I get the beginning of the movie, right? Not the first half. Yeah, not the beginning
I didn't
of the
mean
movie.
To say first half, but the very beginning, we're introduced to her, and in the last half of the movie is where she comes back full throttle into the picture.
I mean, I think overall, like all the characters, and I don't know how deep you got into the like interviews with them, because for me, like when we were originally before we even watched the movie, and we were talking about like, hey, what movie should we talk about next, whatever. And when Peanut Butter Falcon came up, I was like, I've heard about it, but not really. And I guess we can check it out, but you've seen it before. And then one of our best friends, Matt, has seen it before. When you first saw it, like caught your eye from like, this is a really good movie?
Well, I'll take that question from a different angle. Because when I first saw it, there was only one thing and one scene that was a little bit unrealistic. And I was just think about it. Has to do with wrestling. And I was just like, what the heck is going on right now? Like, okay, suspend like in a lot of like action hero or in like superhero movies, suspend disbelief. Star Wars, the new ones, suspended disbelief, is the only way to enjoy those. But how grounded this movie was, and to have to suspend disbelief, it kind of took me out of the movie in that scene. The very first time I saw it, because I was just like, what the heck is this? You guys will know once you'll know what scene I'm talking about. Has to do with wrestling. This was the third time that I saw it, so I was expecting to see that. And I didn't quite remember how the movie ended after that scene. So I knew it was coming, so I was braced for it, so it didn't take me out of the movie as much. But I would love to hear the director or the writers talk about why they decided to go that route with that scene. I'm just really curious, because to me, it just doesn't work at all. For me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
it really just irritated me.
I guess for me, and I'm guessing, just again, without spoiling anything, are you talking about the first part of the match or the second part?
The last part.
The last part?
The ending of it. How it ended.
Huh. I mean, I guess that it could be unrealistic.
It could be.
But
come on now.
I don't know, man. Like for me, I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever, right? So
okay.
So what? And I think that's more of like how I like to watch movies. I mean, I've told you this before, right? Sometimes I watch a movie and I like to just unplug myself and not really care so much about, oh, this looks unrealistic, or hey, this looks like this obviously wouldn't like the plot holes on this wouldn't match, right?
Well, I agree with you 100%. I do the same thing, but when the rules are set early and even late into a movie where it's grounded in reality, and then you do something far-fetched out of reality, it just takes me out. It's jarring. It was too jarring for me personally. It just didn't work. That little scene just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
That little part of the scene, not the whole scene.
No, yeah.
Just that little ending part.
Yeah, and I think you guys will I guess make your own decision if you guys do decide to watch the movie. But overall, like yeah, the movie it definitely has that feel of based on a true story, true events, which it wasn't from what my understanding.
No, it was not.
But it does have that more based on a true story type of feeling, right? And for me, like the biggest part that I mean, throughout the movie, you like you're invested in these characters, and you're like, anytime there's any like signs of danger or any like time where you actually something happens to one of them, I mean, it's like you know, it's not a tearjerker, but it's definitely like it's a sad feels type of moments here and there, right? And yeah, I mean, the tone of the movie is just overall for me was it was happiness, I guess you can say, because I mean, you have two guys in the movie, right? Shia LaBeouf's character and Zach's character, where overall you're like, man, I'm rooting for you guys. I hope things work out for each one of you guys. And I mean, at the end of the day, like for me, like the way the movie ended was, for me, I guess you can say, one, super positive, and two, I was glad that, you know, there was a happy ending to each of them, you know. So yeah, what did you feel that, I mean, how did you feel one, about the part where they I guess we could talk about like him meeting the wrestler, I guess what's his name, Clint is the other character's name.
Yeah, I think so.
So
Rand something Savage.
Yeah. So how did you feel about like having when Zach met him? Like for me, I was like, what? Like that's insane. Like how does that happen? And then you're just shocked at the moment, and then adding that happiness effect to it. Again, we're not spoiling anything. I'm trying to be as vague as possible here.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things where it's like a magic moment happens, and you're just like, man. Shia LaBeouf's character's name again?
Tyler.
Tyler really made that happen. He was hellbent on making that happen for Zach, and it was a magic moment. And just the way it all came together was just beautiful.
I want to make sure, I mean, you guys know that, I mean, this for at least for me, this is like a really good movie that I would recommend anyone watching, right? It's like, especially right now where obviously you're quarantined, you're probably running out of things to watch in Netflix. In Netflix or on Netflix? On Netflix, right?
Yeah, on Netflix.
Okay. As you're running out of things to watch, this is something that you guys can catch. It's for me, I watched it on Hulu. I don't know. It should be on Hulu. It should definitely be on like a Russian website or Chinese website. But yeah, if you're trying to watch it, Hulu or Amazon Prime, you can rent it. It's definitely it's a good movie. It's about an hour and a half long, so it's not like something where you're like to devote 2.5 hours or anything like that, which I love. I'd rather watch a 2.5 hour movie. Looking forward for that Snyder cut 3-hour movie. 3.5 hour, right? 4 hours, dude. Like,
they're doing it in 4 parts. 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. So I think it's going to be a full month. 1 week they release episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4 on the last week.
What? They're breaking it down?
Yeah, into episodes.
I don't know about all that.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh man.
It. Yes.
Okay, we can talk about it a different day, but yeah, this is something that I would recommend you guys taking the hour and a half to go ahead and watch. I mean, I don't know if you guys like Shia LaBeouf as a person. I definitely think him as an actor. is like he puts everything that he can to the character, right? I mean, I watched one of the interviews and he said to prepare for the movie, he like went crawfishing, and I'm like, what? Like, he spent months fishing to prepare to become a fisherman. The actor who had a background in crawfishing, which they only showed how much. I'll probably say total maybe like 5-10 minutes, right?
Probably less than that.
Yeah. And so I mean, for me, I'm like, I respect the guy so much that I'm like, besides the memes, and I'm like, dude, this guy knows what he's doing. And then Zach's character, Zach as an actor, I mean, like I said it before, right? I don't think the movie would have worked without him. This movie was like, it looked like he was born to pretty much play the movie, as corny as that sounds. But I think like their relationship between those two really worked, really, really good. And Dakota Johnson's character, Eleanor, I mean, yes, you could probably say you could have maybe had anyone else in the role, but I think the relationship between Zach's character and Dakota's character, the relationship that they had in the movie was like, you can tell, or at least I was convinced that they've known each other for X amount of time. They that she cared a lot for him, and he cared a lot for her, right? So you do have that good character building throughout the movie that you're like, man, like it's not like in some of these movies where you watch and you're like, you're not mom and dad, or you don't really care for each other, type of thing. But you can really tell in all three of the main characters, you're like, wow, like this was great as far as a character movie.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things, and you said you mentioned you watch old school wrestling, right?
No, I never.
Okay,
really...
so for the old school wrestling fans, so WWF, I think I didn't watch old school wrestling, but the old school wrestler fans, Mick Foley makes a cameo, and I don't know if you know anything of Mick Foley.
Not really.
Really good, like wrestler. Like this guy was like I guess you could say someone like the people's champ, and like just had funny moments, crazy moments, but like overall, like he makes a cameo in the movie. I think he's the referee. He plays a cameo during the wrestling match without ruining anything. So yeah, I definitely give like character wise a big recommend if you're into those movies, and if you're not, I'll still say watch it, right? I mean, how do you feel about like the movie overall, Jerome?
Yeah, I definitely highly recommend it to anybody. Doesn't matter what type of movies you're into. This is definitely worth a watch.
So I think without spoiling too much, I could definitely tell you guys, at least for both Daryl and I, go ahead and take your time, go watch this movie. Again, it's a really good adventure character movie that I would say it is worth the watch. It's definitely worth the watch. It's worth the $4, $5 that's probably on Amazon. If you have Hulu, again, it's free. Daryl, do you want to go ahead and wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you guys think about this movie if you've seen it? Comment below and let us know. Comment below and let us know if you're going to go watch the movie now. If you have seen the movie, comment below, maybe a scale of 1 to 10. How much did you like the movie? Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know every time a new episode drops. And Triple Side Podcast, we will get to a more stringent schedule on when we release our podcasts. And the Peanut Butter Falcon.